Hello, my name is Morgan. I am so glad you're here. In this video, I'm going to be going over every single book that I read in February. It was a pretty good reading month for me. This video is a little late, but since it was a good reading month, I just really wanted to go over it. For February, I did not have a TBR or anything, so I kind of just mood read whatever I wanted. So I read 6 books, so that's actually a decent month for me. I read 4 romance books, 1 mystery thriller, and 1 fantasy book. The first book that I'm going to be talking about is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This book was so cute. I heard really good things about it, so I honestly had kind of high expectations going into it, but I was not disappointed at all. So in this book, you are following Alexis and Daniel, and Alexis comes from a super long line of world-renowned surgeons, and so she just has that all put on her shoulders, and she's expected to keep on with the family work or job. And I honestly don't remember where, but in the very beginning of the book, Alexis is traveling somewhere and her car gets stuck. And this guy shows up to help her tow it out, and his name is Daniel. He ended up helping her, and she stayed over at his house, and it was sweet. But they did not expect to see each other again. And then, as fate be it, they end up seeing each other again. And this story is just so cute. Daniel comes from a really small town, and Alexis is from the city. I literally adore Daniel. He would do anything for Alexis, anything. He's just the sweetest character ever. I ended up giving this a 4.5 star. Super cute, definitely recommend. It was definitely it was a feel-good romance, but it had some deeper themes to it, which personally I enjoy that. Not when it's all super fluffy, but it's sweet, but the characters are actually going through some tough things that they need to work out together. Next is Rosie and the Dreamboat by Sally Thorne. This is part of a little novella collection. I believe Amazon partnered with a bunch of romance authors to write these little novellas for Valentine's Day, I believe last year. So this year I ended up picking one up, and I've read a few of them, and honestly they are super cute, and they're all under 60 pages. So if you just need a quick little romance book, definitely recommend those. But this one, you are following Rosie and her sister, and they're doing a Galentine's spa day. And the dynamic between Rosie and her sister is interesting. Rosie's just I guess she thinks that she's just the ugly duckling of the sister duo. So that's kind of a main topic that they go on about. But they end up going through this spa day, and Rosie gets stuck in this inside a flotation tank. So I don't know what that is. I've never seen one of those. But I'm just imagining her stuck in a giant egg with water and stuff. So literally it's 60 pages of her just being stuck inside of this, and there are these firefighters that are coming to help her, and there's a little romance going on between her and this firefighter, and it's just kind of funny. Their banter was really cute. It is just a super short little romance. There's nothing crazy to it. I believe I gave it a 3 star. I thought it was super cute. Next, I picked up The Blood Trader by Lynette Noni. I loved this trilogy. This is part of the Prison Healer trilogy. This is the last book. And I picked up The Prison Healer honestly 2 years ago, and I read the second book quickly after I read the first book. So it's been a hot minute since I've been in this world, literally probably a year and a half. And that was kind of part of why I think I kept pushing it off, because I was oh my gosh, I'm not gonna remember what was going on, especially in a fantasy book. And honestly, I didn't. I started this book and I was okay, hopefully things will just refresh my memory and I'll get back into it really fast. And I did. I was really surprised. I started reading this, and I was already connecting things from a year and a half ago when I started the series. I remember just Kiva and was remembering the characters and what was going on. I still was a little bit lost, but honestly it didn't really take away from the story. I really enjoyed this one. This was a great ending to the series. I'm actually kind of sad that it's done. In this book, we kind of reconnect with a character that we were hearing about in the first book. So that was super interesting. We got to know them a lot better, and they ended up being a huge part of this story, and I ended up just falling in love with them. But a little bit about just the first book and the series. You are following Kiva, and she grew up in the worst of the worst prisons, where they send the most horrible, just evil people. And she is the prison healer, so she is like the prison's doctor. She just gets by and has survived in this prison by just making like no connections with people. She doesn't try to connect with people. She just like fixes people and sends them on their way. That's it. But then this boy comes in and ends up on her table, and he's interested in her. She's like, no, thank you. Like, just get on with your way, whatever. So they spark up a little friendship, and it's really cute. And then there's another interesting person who ends up on her table, the rebel queen, who is getting like trialed and is going into this game. So Kiva is tasked with just keeping this rebel queen alive. This is just a super fun YA fantasy book with a little bit of romance. Super fun, super quick. All the books are around like this long, so probably like 400-page books. Next, I picked up Jasper Rail by Devney Perry, and that was a DNF, about 50% in. Y'all, I was actually so sad. The first like 2 books in this series were so good. I think I literally gave them like 4.5 stars, and then I don't know what happened. It just went so downhill from there. The series kind of reminded me of like the Chestnut Springs dynamic, if y'all have read that series by Elsie Silver. That series is so much better. I'm not comparing them, but like in this world, you're following like a family, and each book is kind of about like a brother or one of the sisters. And in this book, you were following one of the sisters and her romance with a character you hear a little bit about throughout the other books. His name is Jasper. He's like a boxing coach. The problem with this book was I had really high hopes for it. I thought it was going to be super cute, super fun, but I just couldn't stand Jasper. I did not mind the other, I think her name's Talia, the female main character. I did not mind her at all. I thought she was so cute and I was so excited for her book. But Jasper just literally could not stand the way that he treated her. And their romance felt very lustful, not like sweet or genuine. It felt like it was enemies to lovers, but way too much enemies to where it didn't even make sense for them to be lovers. Continuing on, I read The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. In this book, you were following Sydney. I think she's like 20s, 30s, just like living life on dating apps and stuff. Her whole friend group is like either has like a boyfriend or are on like the dating apps and stuff, and she's just had, I guess, really bad luck with guys. She was with a guy for a super long time, and now she's just trying to get back into the dating scene. She meets this guy. He's literally like perfect. He is a doctor. He's like super sweet, super caring. But there's just like little things that she'll notice about him that are just off. You are getting like flashbacks of this boyfriend when he was like growing up. So it's going between like Sydney's point of view and then her boyfriend's point of view, but when he was like younger, just growing up. I did not guess the ending at all. The plot twist was kind of crazy. It literally felt like a fever dream. I read it in like 2 days. The last book that I read in the month of February, which was honestly a great way to end my month, was When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This book felt like such a just sweet, kind of Hallmarky, but not in a bad way, cutesy romance book. But in this book, you are following Ray Rose, who is a super famous pop star, and she's literally just trying to get away and take a break from everything. She's like a super fan of Audrey Hepburn, and apparently in like one of Audrey's movies, she goes to Rome, so Ray Rose is like, oh, I'm gonna go to Rome, and she finds this little town in Kentucky called Rome. So that's how she ended up in Rome, Kentucky. Her car gets stuck, and it happens to get stuck in front of Noah's house, and Noah is just super sweet, such a gentleman, helps her out, lets her like stay at his house until she gets everything sorted out with her car. And he's just a super private person, and I think that really like intrigued Ray just to try to like, I don't know, get to know him. He runs a pie shop, so that was kind of fun. And his sisters, which I think that's what like the other books are about. There's 3 books out in this series, and I believe the other 2 books are like about his sisters, so I'm kind of excited to read those. I've heard those are really good. I loved the dynamic of Ray and Noah's sisters were so cute. They literally just like took her in and like befriended her, and they were having like sleepovers, girls' night out. It was super cute. So that was everything that I read in February. A pretty good reading month, 1 DNF, but for the most part all the books I read were like above 4 stars, or they definitely were all above 4 stars. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.